Imagine if you could remember the face of every person you have known in the last 50 years. Now imagine if you could feel the pain of a friend miles away and run to help you. Does it look like science fiction? Well, for elephants, this is just a normal Tuesday. And what I'm going to tell you today will completely change the way you see these kind giants. Do you know that expression, elephant memory? It exists for a very serious reason. We are talking about creatures that can recognize the smell of a dead relative for decades, who cry real tears when they lose someone who love, who come back year after year to visit the bones of their loved ones as if they were sacred cemeteries. And look, before you think this is cheap anthropomorphization, I need to tell you, science is on our side here. Neuroscientists have found that the brain of an elephant has more neurons in the cerebral cortex than any other terrestrial animal. There are 5.6 billion neurons working in a symphony of memories, emotions, and connections that we have barely started to understand. But let's start at the beginning. The memory of an elephant is not just good, it is stratospheric. In 1999, at both Erup researchers in Both Park, researchers did an experiment that shivered even the most skeptical scientists. They played recordings of calls of killed elephants years ago. Do you know what happened? The group matriarchs immediately recognized the voices. Some were agitated, others simply stopped, as if they were processing an avalanche of memories. An elephant named Echo, which was studied for over 30 years, has shown something even more impressive. She could distinguish between more than 100 different elephants just by the sound of her calls. And we're not talking about elephants she saw every day. Some she hadn't found a decade ago. A decade. Do you remember the name of all your high school colleagues? And here is a detail that few know. The memory of elephants is literally a matter of life or death. During severe droughts, they are the older matriarchs, with their 60, 70-year-old memories that guide the herd for water sources they visited only once when they were young. Imagine having a mental GPS that works for decades without updating. But wait, because now comes the part that will mess with your emotions. The elephants not only remember, they feel. And they feel in a way that challenges everything we thought about animal emotions. In 2012, at the Tennessee Elephant Sanctuary, something has happened that the keepers will never forget. Two Asian elephants, Jenny and Shirley, were placed in adjacent stalls. The moment they saw each other, something extraordinary happened. They began to vocalize in a way never before recorded, touching each other frantically through the bars, as if they tried to hug each other. Investigating the records, the researchers found something unbelievable. Jenny and Shirley had worked together in a circus 23 years earlier. They had been together for just a few weeks when Jenny was a baby, but that connection, that children's friendship, remained intact for more than 2 decades. And don't stop there. Elephants demonstrate a kind of empathy that is rare even among humans. When a herd member is injured, the others literally stop their lives to help. They use their trumples to lift their fallen companion. They bring food to elephants that cannot move, and yes, they cry. Cynthia Moss, one of the world's leading elephant experts, has documented a case that still thrills me. An elephant named Tony broke her leg. For days, her family tried to help her walk, supporting her weight, bringing fresh branches for her to eat. When Tony finally died, her family stayed with her for hours, touching her body kindly with the trumples, covering her with soil and leaves. And do you know what is most impressive? Months later, whenever the family passed where Tony died, they stopped. They were silent. They touched her bones with a delicacy that would leave her heart. By the way, talking about leaving hearts, if these stories are touching you the same way they touch me, take advantage of this moment of emotional connection to leave a like in the video. Seriously, every time someone likes it, it's as if we are creating our own herd here, connected by the fascination with these amazing creatures. And if you want to be part of this family that celebrates animal intelligence, the subscribe button is right down there. I promise that each video will expand your mind as much as this. But returning to our giants, did you know that elephants can develop PTSD? Yes, post-traumatic stress disorder. Orphaned elephants who saw their families are killed by hunters show the same symptoms as war veterans: nightmares, aggressiveness, social isolation. At Pilanesberg National Park in South Africa, Young male elephants who lost their families began attacking rhinos for no apparent reason. It was behavior never seen before. Do you know how they solved it? They brought older elephants, mature males, to serve as paternal figures. In a matter of months, the attacks stopped. The young people needed guidance, models, family. And it leads us to something fascinating about the elephant society. They have one of the most complex social structures of the animal kingdom. Females live in matriarchal groups led by the older and oldest grandmother. The males, when they reach adolescence, are kindly expelled from the group, not out of cruelty, but because that is how nature avoids consanguinity. But here is the plot twist. Even living separately, males keep deep friendships with each other. They form alliances, have best friends, but miss you. Researchers observed adult males running towards each other after months of separation, intertwining trumples in what can only be described as an elephant hug, and communication between them. Get ready to have your mind exploded. Elephants speak at such a low frequency that our human ears cannot capture. It is infrasom, sound waves that travel for kilometers through the ground. A mother can call her puppy 10 kilometers away. A male in heat can announce its availability for females within 30 kilometers. But they don't just use sound. Elephants have such rich body language that researchers have identified more than 70 different gestures. The position of the ears, the movement of the trunk, the way they shake the head, everything has meaning. It is as if each elephant was a walking poet, composing verses with his whole body. What's more, they have a sense of humor. Joyce Poole, another giant in the study of these giants, documented elephants doing what can only be described as pranks. A young elephant pretending to be stuck in the mud to scare his mother. Another hiding his friend's food and pretending not to know where he is. These are complex games that require mind theory, the ability to understand that other individuals have different thoughts from their own. Now let me tell you about something that happened in 2004 that left the whole world with your mouth open. During tsunami in the Indian Ocean, in several Thailand beaches, elephants who carried tourists began to act strangely. They trimped loudly, broke their chains, and ran to higher land. Some even took tourists with their trips and carried them up above. The elephants felt the tsunami coming long before any human instrument. They saved dozens of lives. And the most touching? After the danger passed, several of these elephants returned to the devastated areas to help rescue, moving wreckage with a delicacy that machines could not reproduce. But elephant empathy is not limited to their own species or humans. In Kenya, an elephant was seen by helping a back turtle back to the normal position. In South Africa, elephants were photographed waiting patiently an antelope puppy to cross his path when they could easily have ignored it or trampled. And here's something that few know. Elephants can develop genuine friendships with other species. At the Thailand elephant shrine, an elephant named Tara developed an unlikely friendship with a mutt dog named Bella. For 8 years, they were inseparable. When Bella was attacked by coyotes and was paralyzed, Tara carried her friend's body for miles back to the sanctuary, hoping that they could save her. Elephants are also aware of themselves. They pass the mirror test, recognize their own reflection, something that only great primates, dolphins, and some birds can do. But they go further. They are decorated. Yes, you heard right. Elephants were observed by placing flowers and leaves behind the ears, apparently by pure aesthetic. And their intelligence to solve problems. It is of another level. In an experiment, researchers put food on top of a platform out of reach of elephants. Do you know what they did? They stacked boxes to create a ladder. When this was not enough, one of them came up with the idea of filling the mouth with water and gushing in the boxes to make them heavier and stable. But perhaps the most impressive is how elephants deal with death. They are one of the few animals that have what we can call funeral rituals. When they find elephant bones, especially relatives, they examine them carefully, passing the trumples over every detail, as if reading memories recorded in the ivory. Karen McComb of the University of Sussex did a revealing experiment. She placed skulls of elephants, rhinos, and buffalo on the root of a herd. The elephants completely ignored the skulls of the other species, but spent long minutes investigating elephant skulls, paying special attention to teeth and prey. And it's not just recognition, it is reverence. Elephants were seen covering bodies of mates, killed with vegetation, creating what appear to be natural tombs. Some return to these places regularly, as if visiting a memorial. Lawrence Anthony, known as the elephant charmer, had a special bond with a herd of wild elephants in South Africa. When he died in 2012, something inexplicable happened. 2 days after his death, the Halfish Homial herd arrived at his home. They had not visited that place for over a year. They stayed there for 2 days in silent vigil and then left. How did they know? No one knows. This deep connection between elephants and humans is not new. In ancient civilizations, elephants were revered not only by their strength but by their wisdom. And now modern science is proving that our ancestors were right. Recent studies show that elephants can distinguish between different human ethnic groups by smell and sound. In Kenya, they react differently to Maasai, who occasionally conflict with elephants, and Kamba, who are traditionally peaceful farmers. They literally learned, throughout generations, who represents danger and who does not represent. And that leads us to a deep reflection. If elephants can remember, love, suffer, help, play, create art, use tools, communicate in ways we barely understand, solve complex problems, demonstrate awareness of themselves, reverence their dead, form friendships between species, save lives, and even apparently feel something we could call spirituality, what does that say about them? And more important, what does that say about us? We live in a world where these magnificent beings are disappearing. Every 15 minutes, an elephant is killed by his prey. In 1979, there were 1.3 million African elephants. Today, there are less than 400,000. If we continue at this pace in 2040, there will be no more wild elephants. Imagine a world without the possibility of a child to see an elephant walking majestically through the savannah, without matriarchs guiding their families through generations of wisdom. No elephant mothers lining their babies with their trumples. No elephant friends running to hug after months of separation. But here is the hardest truth. Each dead elephant is not just a statistic. It is a burnt library. He is a grandmother who will not spend his knowledge forward. It is a mother whose baby will grow orphaned and traumatized. It is a network of friendships and loves destroyed forever. Elephants teach us that memory is not just about remembering, it is about honoring. What intelligence is not just about solving problems, it is about feeling deeply. What a strength is not just about physical power, it is about carrying the emotional weight of loving and losing and still loving. So the next time someone uses the expression elephant memory, as if it were just not forgetting, remember everything I shared with you today. Remember Jenny and Shirley reuniting after 23 years, from Tara carrying her friend Bella, from elephants saving lives on tsunami, of the silent vigils for the dead. Because in the end, perhaps the greatest lesson that the elephants teach us is this. In a world that encourages us to forget, to move on, not to feel too much, they show us the sacred beauty of remembering, feeling, carrying those we love, not only in our memories, but in each action, in every choice, every moment of our lives. And if we, with our supposedly superior brains, are unable to protect creatures capable of so much love, so much wisdom, so funny, so maybe we need to evolve. Perhaps we are the ones who need to develop an elephant memory, not just for facts and numbers, but for compassion, for responsibility, to understand that we share this planet with beings who feel, think, and love in ways we just begin to understand. The elephants remember. The question is, will we remember them? Or let's let only one memory become a legend that we will tell our grandchildren on gentle giants that once walked the earth, who loved deeply, never forgot, and that we tragically forget to protect. The choice, as always, is ours. And time, as elephants could tell us if we could hear their so-called infrasonic crossing continents, is ending.